Can you believe that Voldemort taught Snape how to fly? Why does Rowling still state that Snape is not a good guy even after all he's done for Harry? And who was the first choice to play Snape? Hint, it wasn't Alan Rickman. Hi, I'm Dylan. Let's start. Hidden similarities between Snape and Voldemort. Well, there are lots of similarities actually. First of all, Severus, just like the Dark Lord, was extremely smart. When he was still a student at Hogwarts, he came up with a number of spells, a skill that's not available to many wizards, even adult ones. You certainly remember his most infamous spell, Sectum Sempra, that creates numerous deep scratches all over someone's body.
You dare use my own spells against me, Potter? Yes.
Harry once used it in a duel against Malfoy, and you might recall the dire consequences. And Snape even used this curse against the Order of the Phoenix in the books, but it wasn't included in the movies. Keep watching because we'll get back to that later. Apart from Sectum Sempra, Snape also came up with Lobera Corpus, a spell that serves as a counter curse to Levicorpus, and there were many others. It looks like Severus used them to protect himself from bullies in the face of James Potter and the gang. And here's the catch. Voldemort was also capable of creating his own spells. These two brilliant wizards would be a great team if Voldy didn't kill Lily Potter and all the rest. But while they were still allies, the Dark Lord presumably taught Snape one of his spells. It was a charm that allows a person to fly without a broomstick. Remember how Snape used it to run away from McGonagall in the Deathly Hallows Part 2? It's quite a useful spell as it allows one to escape danger, even without having a broomstick or anything else to fly on. And to be honest, it also looks impressive. It's unclear whether Snape kept coming up with new curses when he grew up, but it's evident that his usage of some other spells was exceptional. Not just another Death Eater. Snape was the only follower of Voldemort's who could conjure a Patronus. Remember how he used it to show Harry where he hid the Gryffindor sword? To cast a Patronus spell, one has to think about a very happy memory. And the Death Eaters were so filled with animosity that they barely had a memory strong enough. But Snape was different. He always remembered his love for Lily.
Always.
And he certainly regretted calling her a mudblood in a moment of weakness, thus turning her away from him forever. But the most remarkable thing about Snape is the fact that, after looking like a villain during the entire series, he died a hero.
You have your mother's eyes.
And now, let's talk more about why we could see that he wasn't a villain from the very beginning. Hints we missed about Snape's true desires. On the surface, the potions professor had always been one of the most unpleasant characters in the series. He didn't only bully Harry and his friends, but it often looked like he was willing to betray the Order of the Phoenix. And when he killed Dumbledore, it's safe to say that most of us stopped believing in him at that moment. But in fact, almost every book or movie showed hints that Snape wasn't a bad guy. Let's start from the very beginning when he protected Harry in the Sorcerer's Stone. Remember how Quirrell was jinxing the boys' broom during the Quidditch match and Hermione thought it was Snape? Well, actually, he was using the counterspell. If it weren't for him, Harry would have fallen off his broom much earlier. And Merlin knows what would have happened then.
Don't tell me now that you've grown to care for the boy.
In The Prisoner of Azkaban, Snape kept on making the potion for Lupin during the full moon, and he never gave away his secret, although he obviously wanted to. When Lupin unexpectedly turned into a werewolf at the end of the film, Snape shielded Harry, Ron, and Hermione with his own body to protect them from the creature. If he was as wicked as he seemed, would he really risk his life for the three students he hated most of all? I doubt it. And if you were really attentive reading the Goblet of Fire, you notice one important detail. Snape appeared in the faux glass that belonged to Mad-Eye Moody. But if you remember, he turned out to be an imposter, Barty Crouch Jr., Voldemort's loyal Death Eater. And since the mirror reflects those who have ill intentions to its owner, it means that Snape wasn't actually a Death Eater. Does it all mean that Snape was actually a good guy? Well, not exactly, because even J.K. Rowling herself once said that he was neither good nor bad. In her tweet a few years ago, the writer stated that the character of Snape was gray, explaining that he had the qualities of both a devil and a saint. And what do you think about it? Who's Snape for you? Share in the comments below. Snape almost killed George Weasley in the book? First of all, the potions professor in the source material was much more unpleasant than in the films. In the books, he regularly and openly insulted and harassed the students, and he was much crueler to Harry. Plus, in the second book, Snape didn't defend Harry, Ron, and Hermione against Filch's accusations when Mrs. Norris was petrified as he did in the film. And in general, he was more antisocial and less laid back, although we love Alan Rickman for giving his character new traits. The books also explained that Dumbledore didn't want to give Snape the position he desired so much, the defense against the dark arts teacher, because he knew that Voldemort had jinxed it. No teacher could stay in the position for longer than a year, and the headmaster wanted Snape to always be at Hogwarts. That's why he only got it in the most critical moment. Despite Alan Rickman being over 50 years old when he played the potions professor, the character was supposed to be in his 30s, so the actor had to have a certain amount of makeup put on him to make him look younger. Oh, and here's one more thing. In the Deathly Hallows book, Snape is to blame for cutting off George Weasley's ear. Lupin even revealed that he disclosed himself by using his infamous curse, Sectum Sempra. This incident seemingly showed Snape's allegiance to Voldemort, but if you think about it, it didn't. He could have easily killed George using Sectum Sempra or any other curse, but he only cut off his ear. It's unpleasant, but not deadly, right? And he probably did it to show the Death Eaters what he was capable of. Isn't Snape a fantastic character? Now let's see how he was created in the first place. Snape is not fiction? Many characters in the Harry Potter series were inspired by people J.K. Rowling encountered in real life, and Snape was no exception. His personality and appearance were based on her high school teacher. His name was John Nettleship, and he taught chemistry. Rings a bell with potion making? He's described as a long-haired, short-tempered man working in a gloomy, malodorous laboratory. Sounds pretty much like Snape, right? The guy was shocked when he found out about the connection he had with the potions professor, saying he knew that he was a strict teacher but had no idea that he was that bad. But if you ask me, I think he was sort of proud to be an inspiration for the character marvelously played by Alan Rickman himself. Speaking of which, Rickman wasn't supposed to play Snape? At first, Warner Brothers wanted Tim Roth to portray the potions professor, but the actor was in the middle of filming Planet of the Apes and turned down the offer. As he later revealed, it was for the best. "If I had done it, everything would have changed," Roth said. "I think the better man for the job did the job." Well, I couldn't agree more. Roth would definitely look great as Snape, but Rickman was more than great. He was perfect.
I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and ensnare the senses.
And part of what made him an ideal Snape was his conversation with J.K. Rowling about what lay behind the word always. She gave me one tiny little left-of-field piece of information that helped me think that he was more complicated, and that the story was not going to be as straight down the line as everybody thought, the actor said. It happened back when Rickman was preparing for the first film. Do you also think he was perfect for the role? And don't you still miss this brilliant actor? Share in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and stay awesome. Thanks for watching.